The much anticipated Disney movie remake Snow White is out, and it is doing exactly as well as everyone thought. It's doing terribly. We're going to talk about that and more on this episode of Here's the Dill. Disney is projected to come in short about $120 million on their new remake Snow White, which is ironic considering they didn't cast any short people. But don't worry, good news, they did cast Lord Farquaad from Shrek as Snow White. So at least they have that going for them. We're going to talk about all the stuff right now. So Peter Dinklage, for those that don't know, Peter Dinklage, he is a little short, below average standard than height person. I think that's the correct term. Miniature person. And he starred in a bunch of movies. I think Game of Thrones was where he made his big kind of splash. And believe it or not, in that movie, he did also play a shorter person than normal. He's made his way into Hollywood movies and been in a lot of films. So good for him. And so you would think that in a movie like Snow White, there are 7 opportunities for someone of his stature, on average, to be able to star in this film. Like, you would think this would be an opportunity for multiple little people shorter than average individuals to have an opportunity to be in Hollywood and get on the main stage and be in a Disney movie. But Peter Dinklage, surprisingly, doesn't see it that way and says that it's offensive to even cast dwarves in this movie. And if you don't believe me, here are his thoughts on it.
Back by the they're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White.
Yeah.
But you're still telling the story of Snow White.
Yeah.
7 dwarves.
Sure.
So, take a step back and look at what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me.
Well,
You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. I don't know what studio that is, but they were so proud of that, and all love and respect to the actress and to the people who thought they were doing the right thing. But I'm just like, what are you doing?
So Peter's not complaining that Snow White is too woke. He's complaining it's not woke enough, saying that somehow because there's a story of 7 dwarves that's offensive to people that have the stature of a dwarf. I guess I don't see the logic of that at all. I think it's a cool opportunity to represent. Besides, like, it's Snow White, that they're magical creatures. They're whistling while they work. They're enjoying mining for diamonds. There's a cabin in the woods. Like, the movie does not at all portray them as these, like, I don't know, whatever he thinks they are, nasty creatures. They're like happy working men that, mining for diamonds, cool, like fairy tale like figures. And so with the opportunity to cast members of the little people shorter than average community, like, this is a big miss. So he said this on this podcast. It goes viral, and Disney, as Disney does, overreacted. And they overreacted so much so that they said, we are not going to have dwarves in this film. We are going to reimagine what dwarves look like. I wish I was kidding, but this is what they came up with. This. So this was their plan to the 7 dwarves, make them humans, diversify them, get the DEI in there. And I still remember when this trailer released and this screen grab of the dwarves happened, people lost their minds. And Disney was like, what? Why are people mad about this? This doesn't make any sense. And Disney was somehow shocked that people didn't like their idea, but this wasn't the only bad thing happening right now. Like, as this movie was cursed from the beginning, and not only was the whole dwarf thing going on with Peter Dinklage complaining, Disney overreacting, then you have Rachel Zegler. Zegler? I think it's Zegler. You have Rachel Zegler that, let's just say, struggled with doing good PR, helpful PR for the film. In fact, her PR as a official Disney princess, the first, I think, is not Snow White the first Disney princess, if I'm not mistaken, right? I'm pretty sure Snow White is the first Disney princess. So as someone who's representing the first Disney princess, you would hope that she would come out, be excited for the role. And someone made an interesting video that I'm going to play because I want you to notice something very, very concerning, interesting, different about how Rachel Zegler talked about this role as Snow White versus the other live remake Disney princesses and their actresses.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
Okay, so this is Aurora. So that was obviously Rachel Zegler talking about Snow White. And basically just saying, like, we're not going to keep to the original story. Obviously, Snow White doesn't need a man, to save her. So, like, at this point, is it even Snow White? But anyway, this is the actress for the role called Aurora, the person Aurora in the movie Maleficent, which actually, I quite enjoyed Maleficent. Good movie. But look at her take. This is how she took this character. Listen to this.
When the sequel comes, they expect the princess to then like be in armor and have a sword and fight and like, oh, that makes her strong. And of course, there are princesses that it's necessary, like Mulan. She's a fighter. That's in her DNA. And Aurora is a fighter, but in a different way. I think there's a strength in her femininity and softness, and there's nothing wrong with her wanting to be a mother and be married and my mom always wanted to be a mom, and I think there's a beauty in that, and that is still strong. So it's nice to represent that, kind of woman.
Like, because this is what Ellie Fanning, who's the actress here, this is all she's saying. She's like, strength doesn't mean like physical strength necessarily. So we don't always have to remake these female characters and to prove they're strong, put them in male armor. Now we have a clip where Rachel Zegler is talking about the story of Snow White, and she calls the prince a stalker. Weird.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
This is who they chose to do their PR. Apparently in their PR meeting, they said, hey, we want you to crap on the original story and say it's awful, and then call the prince a stalker. Let's keep watching. This is Halle Berry, who played the Little Mermaid, which, side note, guys, I have no issue that they made the Little Mermaid black. Sue me. I don't. I think it's cool. I think it's awesome. It doesn't matter to me. Nowhere in source material does this have to say that Little Mermaid was white. Conservatives got their panties in a bunch over it. I think it's awesome. I don't have a problem with it. Halle Berry's an amazing actress. She did the role very well. But this is what she said about the character.
There's so many beautiful qualities about her that we know and love already in the original. Her curiosity, her passion, her headstrongness, her ability to not take no for an answer. I wanted to keep all those things as well as add some of me to it, especially like some of the nuances and riffs in the songs and just my personality as well. So I hope that shines through in this version.
And what does Rachel have to say?
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years when I was doing this film.
Boy, you're making me want to watch this movie, Rachel. Yeah, I haven't seen this movie in like 16 years, and I watched it once and was terrified and I hated it. But I'm your new Disney princess. Yas, queen. This is Lily James, who's the actress of Cinderella, talking about the role and what it means to her. Listen to the difference here.
Obviously, every girl wants to be a princess. I mean, ever since you're a kid, and a Disney princess and Cinderella, it's kind of, if I say it's like too much to really even believe, even though we're halfway through filming and it's all happening. But so yeah, obviously that kind of idea of being a princess is just magical. And then on top of that, actually working on the film with Ken and with everyone, the essence of who she is, and that's like a dream role too, because she's so special and kind and unique, and so it's been really just playing her, regardless of the fact that she's been a princess, has been a real dream role, yeah.
And how would Rachel respond when asking her if this was a dream role for her?
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Every other Disney princess, they not only had an appreciation of the character, they had a knowledge of the character, of the history of the movie. They had everything. And for whatever reason, it's almost like Rachel didn't even want to play this character, or at least not the character that was made in 1937. She wanted to make a new character, a fresh character. Well, then why call it Snow White? Now, if you didn't think this was bad enough, this movie was postponed for a year or two after that. But for some reason, Rachel just could not stop making enemies. As you know, in America, we've had a very big election and a very polarizing election this past election cycle. And it's fine. If you want to give your support to someone, it's fine. But Rachel didn't do that here. She has some harsh words to say for Trump supporters. Let's watch the clip.
I don't think I've come up on this social media app to say that we have a really important presidential election coming up, and Lenny is very eager for you to vote for Kamala Harris.
That's fine. She should have stopped it there. That's okay. She can have that opinion, but she doesn't stop. Classic Rachel.
And it's actually non-negotiable.
Oh. Oh, is it?
Our rights are on the line, folks.
Are they?
Our reproductive rights.
You're creeping me out.
Come on.
Why are you smiling at
Go
me?
blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment,
Okay. It's me.
just hit the unfollow button.
Okay. I wasn't following you.
I don't need your business. Thanks. I don't...
You're Disney princess, everyone. If you disagree with the way I think about the world, just unfollow me. I don't need your business. Apparently Disney doesn't either, because this is just another knife in the coffin. I don't know if that's a word, of just people just don't want to see this movie. Like, this is 2 years of Rachel's PR nightmare for Disney, to the point now that they literally, when the movie finally came out, and we'll get back to the dwarf issue in a second, but when the movie finally came out, they banned Rachel from doing PR. She was scheduled to be on Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, all this stuff, and there's no PR, guys. There's nothing about this movie. Look, this movie just came out, and the princess should be everywhere, right? Weird. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just came. Oh, man. Now, let's go back to the dwarf things for a second, because this movie was supposed to come out like a year or two ago, right? And all this was happening, I think, in like 2021, 2022. The pushback was so bad that Disney had to go back through the movie, get rid of what they had already recorded with those actors, and make CGI dwarves. I kid you not. They had to go back in time, reshoot, and pretty much remake the movie and create CGI dwarves. Now, as you can imagine, you're going to have fake dwarves with a real-life movie. What can possibly go wrong? I'll tell you what could go wrong. The creepiest things you have ever seen in your life. If you would like to not have a nightmare, you can skip this next part. But this is what Disney came up with. This is probably the creepiest thing I have ever seen. Look at that. That's what they came up with. Like, I feel like I'm about to be eaten in one of my dreams. They're just going to turn into a demon dwarf. These are supposed to be fun. Look at that. Oh my goodness. This is actually the first time I've seen all of them. That is terrifying. So they can... If you're listening to this audibly, you're gonna have to look up pictures of dwarves, because these things are freaky. It's like one of my worst dreams put to reality. These things are gonna come chase me. You know those dreams that you're like running slow-mo? I can just imagine me like running through molasses with these like demon things chasing me. But this is what Disney had to do, because they had to cancel their whole original plan. That's terrifying. They finally released the movie, and it's doing exactly what you think it would do. It's flopping, and it's flopping big. So the director's son, I think a guy named Joel, posted a video saying his dad had to fly, to Rachel Zegler. And there was a comment that said this: "Your dad flew to NYC to reprimand a young actress." Any words on this? Because that's creepy and uncalled for. People have the right to free speech. No, shame on your father. And so the son replied, "You really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie, which she had signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people had worked on the film that she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depended on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Even though this is correct, it's kind of what you get for taking a classic and trying to turn Snow White into Mulan. If you want to have a movie like that, then just make a new movie. Make a new Disney princess. Don't take a classic and make a whole new storyline. So I still feel for him that maybe what little chance this movie did have to succeed, Rachel did kind of single-handedly bring it down, and with the dwarf issue, but still, you made a bad movie, bro. Sorry. So what do you guys think? Have you guys seen the Snow White movie? Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with my take? Do you disagree with my take? Should I go watch it? I told my wife, I said, hey, we should go watch this Snow White film. And she said, please don't make me watch this film. So I don't know. Should I go watch it? Should we not go watch it? Let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, next we have some crazy political reactions to talk about. Female fencer takes a knee in bout against male opponent, faces immediate disqualification after receiving a black card for refusing to compete against a man. Redmond Sullivan's female opponent was expelled from the event at the University of Maryland over the weekend. Sullivan fenced for the men's team at Wagner College last season before switching to the women's team this season. This is just like another Riley Gaines, Leah Thomas situation, I guess. But here, let's watch the clip. Immediately disqualified because she was not willing to fight against a man. Shout out to her, man. Shout out to this is what it's gonna take. This is all it's gonna take is more people like her standing up to it. I have a daughter, right? I have a daughter. This is exactly what I'd coach her to do. We're not doing it, man. We're over this stuff. Next, we have a story that just makes me absolutely sick to my stomach. We have a mom in Deerfield, Illinois, claiming that teachers stood in the locker room doorway and made sure that her daughter changed in front of the trans student as well. Like they weren't allowed to change anywhere else, and they made it happen. Let's just watch the clip.
As a first-time mom, a mom in Deerfield, Illinois, just testified at a school board meeting that school administrators actually forced young girls to change their clothes in front of a boy student who claimed they were trans. Like, stood in front of the doorway and monitored to make sure these girls were actively taking off. All right,
let's watch the clip. Let's see, Isabel.
My 13-year-old's daughter's well-being and mental health and privacy is at stake. This nightmare began on February 5th when my daughter was using the girls' bathroom and was stunned that a biological male student was using it as well. She came home frightened and was extremely upset. I asked her to talk with her teachers and find out more information. She was told by the administration that a student can use the bathroom as well as a female locker room because they now identify as female. I was sent an email to the teachers involved and received a call from Principal Wegley. He verbally reiterated that under Joanna Ford's direction and their legal counsel that the student could use both the locker room and bathroom. The situation went from bad to worse. A few days later, the male student was present in the girls' locker room. Feeling violated, the girls made the choice to not change into their PE clothes with a biological male student present. The next day, Assistant Principal Kathy Van Treese pulled the girls into their office questioning them. The same day, Assistant Superintendent Joanna Ford, Kathy Van Treese, and multiple teachers all came into the girls' locker room, making them change into uniform. This went on all week. My daughter refused to take part in having her privacy being violated. How dare they? She ran out and called for me for help.
In what world is this not blatant abuse of girls and sexual harassment? I mean, and for the record, this is why I have such a problem with this concept of our children. Remember when this was said?
The children of the community are the children of the community.
Because ultimately, no one is going to protect the innocence of a little girl like her parents are. Also, let's just notice how this never happens to boy students. If any grown adult ever followed my daughter into the school bathroom to mandate she she take her clothes off in front
Yep.
of a boy, you can bet I would go full nuclear
Oh,
on
yeah.
the entire school system.
These are things actually happening right now. There's no version that these teachers should not be put in jail, right? Like, we all agree that if you are the teacher that was in charge making these female students change in front of a biological male, that's like sexual abuse. Like, that's gross. My daughter, like, I'm teaching her to fight if she has to. There's no version she's doing that. And that's happening right now. It's disgusting, it's sick, it's demonic, it's wrong. And there's no version that that's okay. And you'd be like, oh, Dillon, you're not accepting. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not accepting that a biological person can change from male to female. And especially in that age bracket. Dude, you know what? I have my opinions. But over 18, I don't care what you do. I still think you might be wrong. I think you could be hurting yourself. But at the end of the day, you're an adult. You can make a grown-up decision. I don't have to agree with it. I could think it's wrong. But you have that right in America. But under 18, when you still should be under the guide and direction and care of your parents, there's no version that either a self-identifying person or someone should be even to have surgeries. The fact that in our culture we're even having the conversation that children can change genders is insane. It's asinine. It is demonic and it's wrong. And if that's my daughter, dude, I'm no way. No way that that's happening. And let me know if you want me to kind of follow up with this story, kind of see where it leads, see where they land. But unfortunately, guys, this is happening way more than just in this school. This is happening a lot of different places. And it's people like this mom. It's people like Riley Gaines. It's people like Stephanie Turner, who's the fencing girl that we just talked about, taking any saying, I'm not participating in this madness. At some point, we all collectively, as a nation, needs to say, this is dumb. This is wrong, and we need to put a stop to it right now. Because otherwise, it's just going to keep getting crazier unless we do something about it now. Do you think that these teachers deserve jail time? Or do you think maybe just a fine? Do you think they should be fired? Let me know in the comments what you think in this situation. All right, next, we have some juicy, interesting stuff that could be very bad news if proven true. And it involves former President Biden. Heritage Foundation report found that every Biden-era document had the same printed automated signature, except for the former president's letter announcing he was dropping out of the 2024 presidential race. That signature was a little different. Let's check out the video.
Lawmakers raising concerns about the validity of executive orders signed by President Biden. This comes after the Heritage Foundation's oversight project reported every Biden-era document they found had the same printed automated signature, except the letter Biden signed to announce he was dropping out of the presidential race. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey wrote, I am demanding the DOJ investigate whether President Biden's cognitive decline allowed unelected staff to push through radical policy without his knowing approval. If true, these executive orders, pardons, and all other actions are unconstitutional and legally void.
To this point, I don't think there's really an update on this, but if this is true, guys, this is big. Like, this is a big, big problem. The fact that you had potentially people signing on behalf of the president, like almost like a docu-sign on documents that only the president could sign for. I mean, is it Joe Biden? Is it Obama's? And we don't really know yet, but I'll let you know as soon as this story has, like, if there is anything in this story that is true, I'll definitely let you know about it. Or if this story turns out to be completely false, I'll let you guys know about that too. People are becoming so unhinged that they're admitting to crimes on TikTok. Let's watch the clip.
A woman using the name Sarah Roberts uploaded perhaps the most incriminating footage that has been posted on TikTok. First, she declares that she wants Elon Musk to be murdered. And then for good measure, she adds that she has not paid her taxes for the better part of a decade.
I promised myself I would avoid the news, but obviously I haven't. Here's my one thought. I mean, I have many thoughts. Elon Musk, like, we need to X him. And by X, I mean formerly known as assassination. And if someone from FBI is gonna job, I don't arrest me. You don't have enough people to even investigate me at this point. I haven't filed my taxes in like 8 years. And yet, no one's covered me.
Oh, man, people people are that unhinged right now. In case I wasn't clear on the X, I actually meant to kill him. And then she's like, the FBI is too busy. I haven't paid my taxes in 8 years. So not only did she say that she wanted to assassinate Elon Musk, she also admitted to the fact that she hasn't done taxes in 8 years. That is not a good plan. I'd love to see an update on this person. I'd love to see an update on how this goes for you, honey. But yeah, that's how unhinged some people are. Hate makes you do some crazy things. Next, we have a CNN analyst accusing a black male of white privilege. Let's watch the clip.
That's a whole nother long conversation about white privilege and things that you have the privilege of doing that people of color don't have the privilege of.
How do I have the privilege of white privilege?
David, by virtue of being a white male, you have white privilege.
Ariva, I hate to break it to you, but you should have been better prepped. I'm black.
Okay. Boom. David Webb joins us, the host of Fox Nation's Remake.
Look at his face. That's insane. Oh, so I looked up who this chick was, Ariva or whatever. She's like she's on CNN sometimes. She's a lawyer. She's an activist. And that's what you call doing zero research. And it's also what you call just sticking to your script, assuming that he's white. She had her script pre-planned of what she was going to say. I can only imagine her face when he said that he was black. But apparently, listen, to the left now, you can be black and have white privilege, apparently. Oh, man, his face here just cracks me up. That's great. And before we go to the next segment, I wanted to thank one of our sponsors of the show, Cool Beans Coffee Brewery. Now, listen, my wife and I, we're about ready to have our second child, and we're super pumped about that. But throughout the pregnancy process, acid reflux becomes a really big problem for my wife. And she wanted to make sure that I mentioned this on the podcast because our coffee is called the Broadcast Brew. It's a low-acid coffee blend, and it's one of the few coffees that she can currently drink without having acid reflux. In fact, we ran out. We had to buy some Kroger coffee to kind of make do until a new shipment came in. And she texted me this morning, literally before the show. She's like, "Hey, can you please email Taylor, who is our roaster, to get some more coffee? I'm dying here." So if you struggle with acid reflux, if you struggle with just your stomach kind of hurting, and you just want to get a nice, good cup of Guatemalan, Ethiopian, or Brazilian, Guatemala. You want to get a nice cup of, Guatemalan and Brazilian and put it together in a low acid coffee. Broadcast Brew is something that you are going to absolutely love. So please go to the website, coolbeanscoffeebrewerymi.com, and get yourself some Broadcast Brew. When you do that, you not only support this show, but you support a local business in Michigan as well. Link is in the description. And please, as always, let me know if you enjoy it. If you order a bag, comment below and let me know how you enjoyed the coffee. Now, in our final segment of today's show, I had the opportunity to interview a guy named Adam Johnson on my podcast. And he's also known as the Lectern guy. He tells the untold story of January 6th from his perspective. So he took a viral photo of him holding a lectern in the Capitol on January 6th. And that turned into 71 days of prison for him and over $100,000 in legal fees. Let's roll the intro to the podcast.
So this lectern is sitting out in the open. It's not in someone's office. I didn't kick down a door. I didn't burn the building to the ground.
Just sitting there, chilling.
Just sitting out in the open. And we live in a social media world. And I thought to myself, that is a fantastic photo prop. And I nailed it. I did call it. So picked it up, walked it about 20 feet to the center of the rotunda, saw some photographers, smiled, waved. That's the photo.
Yeah.
Sat it down, gave a short speech, left it there. They ended up charging me on Friday with 3 different counts. It was felony theft for moving the piece of furniture. It was exactly. Well, I embarrassed them.
Yeah.
It was violent entry, which again, there's a video of me walking through open doors, and it was entering and remaining in a restricted building. So $100,000 in attorney fees out of our pocket later. No. We got the felony dropped and the violent entry charge dropped, and got the trespassing charge. They stuck that one on me.
And did you have any jail time?
71 days in federal prison, 18 of those in solitary confinement.
What is the next case for justice for people like you, persecuted by the government? What's the next step? What needs to happen?
There is a lot of talk about retribution right now. That is kind of the mantra of MAGA administration, and I think we're missing reformation and restoration on top of that. It's good to go after people who did these things. That's fantastic. It does not give back. It does not restore people to what they've lost through this. People have lost their homes, their wives, their freedom. I hadn't seen my kids for like 3 months, and there are people in prison who haven't seen their kids for years. How do you make them whole? How do you give that back to them? And I think it's a conversation we haven't even begun to have yet. So if you're asking me how to make it right, I think we got to start talking about that. How do we make these people whole?
I don't really care where you are on the January 6th thing. Okay. If you still believe that the January 6th people are evil people that destroyed and were like rioting, I don't care. Okay. But I have friends on Facebook that I've seen just say things about these January 6th individuals. And I'm like, Well, guys, I've talked to 3 of them, and they've been on my show. So you haven't. So before you make these massive opinions on these people, I would just encourage you to talk to them. And the interesting thing is I talked to 3 different people, and they all had the exact same story. And then people like Adam, who, sure, you can say he shouldn't have been in there. Great. 3 felonies, multiple days in solitary confinement, 71 days in prison. And then you have someone like John Strand, who John Strand wasn't even read his Miranda rights. Then you have people like Siaka, who I was just talking on the phone last week, but Siaka, the FBI had already raided his home. Then he was released, whatever. They didn't take him. They just took all of his stuff with them. And then like a couple months or a year later, whenever it was, they arrested him on the tarmac. They knew where he lived, but the FBI needed to make a scene. So they arrested him at the airport, took him away from his pregnant wife. This is what the Biden administration did. There's still people in jail from January 6th that don't deserve to be in there. Even if you're like, they deserve some jail time, sure, 24 hours for trespassing, but this is insane. Good people, good men, good women were arrested, persecuted, 71 days in jail for moving a lectern 20 feet in the rotunda, taking a picture, saying cheese to the photographers that were already in there somehow. And next thing you know, like later in the interview, he says his phone stopped working because his battery had died. So when he put a new battery pack in, like his photo went viral. And yeah, he's a great guy. Shout out Adam. Thank you for coming to the show. If you want to hear his full story, make sure you check out the Dill in England show, his podcast where I interview people and have really authentic, good, interesting conversations. That podcast is out on all platforms now. Thank you so much for coming to another episode of Here's the Dill. I hope this was an interesting show for you. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Without further ado, don't forget, I am now on Parler. Yes, Parler, the free speech social media app, it's back, and it's better than ever. I just did an episode on it last week. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you watch that episode. But find me at Parler. I'm Dillon. England is my tag. Go make an account. Follow me there, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of Here's the Dill. Thanks for watching.